Welcome to Mining Direction. Hello, Cesar. How are you doing today?
Jorge, how are you?
My name is Jorge Leon, and Cesar Campos and I are always going to be developing the next program, Cesar, in a week's time when gold and silver are breaking all records again.
Indeed, $5,000 an ounce, nothing less than gold, and $117 an ounce of silver too. Certainly the silver funds the necessary effects for the energy transition and supports certain platforms, whereas the gold appears to serve purely as a safe haven asset. Wouldn't you agree?
And as you mentioned a few minutes ago, the importance of auditing illegal mining becomes more lucrative, doesn't it? It is more profitable, isn't it?
15,000 millions of dollars exported through illegal mining, where the IPE, the Peruvian Institute of Economics, has calculated the average that, yes, it is only applying 2%, $240 million to finance the election campaign. Jorge, we are going to have illegal mining factions.
We are urging all presidential candidates, senators, Senate candidates, and Congress members to come forward and join us in this call for action. We don't see a high-level, real technical conversation about mining. Illegal and legal mining, what will be done, for example, with the bureaucracy. Regarding the issue of permits, one of the countries with the most bureaucracy to obtain a permit to establish a mining company. One of the countries with most bureaucracy for exploitation, for the first and second phase. So really, this is an issue that needs to be discussed thoroughly because mining is what provides the bread and butter for Peru. In fact, a significant portion of tax revenue is generated by mining operations. Discussions regarding illegal mining are noticeably absent. Neither your schemes for undertaking illegal mining nor the bureaucratic practices surrounding it are up for debate. What is the meaning? On the opposite end of the spectrum, another pressing question arises. What steps will the president take to combat the issue of illegal mining amidst these alarming scandals? They left their positions abruptly with forceful kicks.
Indeed.
Huh? Well, now delving a little into these topics, we will have with us none other than Congresswoman Diana Gonzales. She is a staunch advocate for legal mining, combating illegal mining not just in Congress, but also within the Energy and Mines Committee, demonstrating a strong commitment to the cause. And of course, are we also going to have more Cesar here?
To Humberto Chirif, who was the executive president of the Geological, Mining and Metallurgical Institute, Ingemmet, and how the management of this crucial institution is currently being handled is under scrutiny, with various important questions being raised.
Before we start, we kindly ask you to watch a report that the Rumbo Minero team has prepared. And then we will proceed to the interviews. Please continue.
Ingemmet, part of the Ministry of Energy and Mines, plays a crucial role in the development of the country's mining sector. It is a key institution for the advancement of the national mining industry. The main duty of the institution is to administer the mining cadastre of Peru, a crucial system for handling requests and for the issuance and recording of mining concessions. The technical work done by the institution has received international acclaim, thanks to the expertise of its professionals. However, last December, the MINEM announced the departure of the president of the Ingemmet Board of Directors, and last January 16th, Paulo Joel Andrés Alzamora, who is an engineer, was appointed as the vice president of the institution, and promptly took on the responsibilities of serving as the acting executive president. As per a news article, Andrés Alzamora had served as the general manager of a company that holds a valid registration in the Comprehensive Mining Formalization Registry, REINFO. This situation has led to a debate on the importance of guaranteeing transparency, independence, and the elimination of conflicts of interest in a crucial institution for the country.
Thank you very much for the report to the Rumbo Minero team. Well, we are in the studio. Alongside Mr. Humberto Chirif, he formerly served as the executive president of Ingemmet, which, as we all recall, stands for the Geological, Mining and Metallurgical Institute. Humberto, welcome to Rumbo Minero.
Thank you, Jorge.
You left the presidency just recently. An executive from Ingemmet precisely at a moment when the nation is confronting important challenges, right? Well, what was the principal decision that motivated your exit? And what were the most significant advancements accomplished during your time in charge?
Not my call. To me, it was an enormous surprise. We had been working well, carrying many expectations for the year 2026 with our plans, and above all, We were honored by the visit of the Minister of Energy and Mines to our facilities, and he departed offering his congratulations for the excellent job done that we were doing. Despite the quick passage of time, the highest decision was made within hours, officially stating my stance, my term. Regarding the achievements obtained in 2025, well, there are several. We started by organizing the House so that we could grow on that organized base. We have worked hard to ensure that the staff can have optimal conditions in order to enhance their work, it is crucial to locate a conducive work environment for growth. As demonstrated, the institutional self-esteem experienced significant growth, and it radically improved the overall performance, as evidenced by a series of surveys and tests conducted by the specialized human resources staff on the subject. The various processes of the standard mining procedure were examined with a view to being the most efficient, better linked, and prioritizing the obtaining of the final product, which is the concession, no longer a series of intermediate processes. Research projects related to the geological aspect of greater application without leaving out the high technical level we have been managing and trying to reach the target audience that ultimately requires that information. She understands it and can apply it.
Okay.
Wonderful, Mr. Chirif. I wanted to go back a bit so you can explain to us, clarify very well what has happened with the Ingemmet governing board. It is our understanding that the acting president, Luis Panizo, and furthermore, he is removed and appointed as a member of the executive council, the gentleman. Eventually, the leadership falls into the hands of Paulo Andres Alzamora of Ingemmet, but the press discovers that this gentleman has an active reinfo, meaning they add a cherry on top of this cake in which many suspicious individuals participating in a scenario, for instance, at the very least, compromised, irregular, and with conflicts of interest end up being named. What's the current situation? What's going on with Mr. Alzamora?
Well, it also strikes me as tremendously interesting, and I see that for the current government, nothing is impossible, right? Despite everything you mentioned that was already known. It was being printing in various media outlets, reaching wider audiences, and they got what they wanted. It seems that the executive board had completely backed down, placing the authority in the hands of the vice president, the one to whom I entrusted the role when the ruling.
Panizo.
The gentleman, Dr. Luis Panizo, he had been working in the very same direction that we have been focusing our efforts, and on the exact day scheduled for the inaugural Board of Directors meeting of the year 2026. The resolution was finally issued, thereby declaring the employment relationship with Mr. Panizo to be completely terminated, and contracting people, and now incorporating into the Board of Directors, officially designating Mr. Alzamora. Is that correct? That same day, the proceedings of I am unable to provide a thorough explanation, but following a unanimous decision by the 4 board members, it was agreed to move forward with it. Well, as the acting president, we have Mr. Alzamora.
Why do you believe that this transpired, that it was managed in that specific manner? You mentioned that the minister arrived, extended his hand, and offered his congratulations. And at 3 o'clock, he was issuing a resolution so it hasn't come from the minister.
I understand, just as you mentioned, correct? I do understand it. It is actually part of a considerably more extensive context, and which is also supported by the different changes that have occurred in other sectors, changes in which the technical aspect has not been respected, but rather a kind of, the impositions appear devoid of rationale or basis. It appears off-kilter and arbitrary. Political reasons that lead to putting different people in the positions.
What do you think should be the role of Ingemmet, now getting into this topic in depth, and other state entities in the fight against the informal mining? Illegal? No. Especially regarding technical data, coordination, and on-site presence. For example, now we see that in Patas they abandoned Ingemmet and MINEM. Both organizations had all their employees leave their respective offices. What should that role be?
Well, regarding Ingemmet, its role is to admit petitions, transform them into mining concessions when they correspond, and ensure the mining cadastre remains current. With this, Ingemmet establishes a very important, very valuable information base. which during the tenure of Minister Montero, we had been developing collaboratively, and the General Directorate of Mining, along with Ingemmet, possessed the foundation for, provided to the General Directorate of Formalization so they can distinguish the different cases that arise. And in small-scale mining that exists, right? It's quite a complex issue, and that by the political management that is currently in place tends to polarize. Some say small miners should not be allowed to operate because they inflict harm. They don't have environmental care, and others say they are families that require that economy to move forward, and it is necessary to be able to discriminate between them, cases existing. During some exhibitions, the concept is concluded in previous talks to summarize the overall idea. I presented up to 7 different cases that warrant a different treatment. The way one must treat someone who is constantly attempting to become formal because of their sheer ignorance is quite different. Because of their skill levels, they are unable to reach it, unlike those people who they deliberately enter inappropriate areas, show no environmental care, and are the ones who catalyze corruption and incorporate into this illegal trading activities on black markets.
Now, to conclude our presentation, Mr. Chirif, please explain how one can effectively articulate their thoughts to our audience. The significance of the mining cadastre and geoscientific information cannot be underestimated when it comes to attracting investments. Ingemmet's crucial role in this aspect should also be acknowledged.
Yes. For that very reason, we have been actively promoting several different agreements and outreach efforts, haven't we? Just as I was mentioning to you during the era of the... Prior to these changes occurring, our collaboration with the Vice Ministry was flourishing and everything was going smoothly. From mining, right, it's information that both entities share to address a common complex problem. Ingemmet cannot say, that's not my responsibility because it's a decision of the Vice Ministry, and withhold very important information. And on the other hand, the other entities cannot say, I don't need information, we have to complement each other. We should keep reinforcing technical connections and prioritize technical issues over political ones to effectively deal with. The current problems you are dealing with are the tasks that need immediate attention.
Okay.
Very well. My sincere thanks go out to Humberto Chirif, who is the former executive president of Ingemmet, the Geological, Mining and Metallurgical Institute. Thank you for joining us on Rumbo Minero.
Happy and look forward to meeting you soon.
Well, I must present to you, of course, if you are a supplier or want to be a supplier in the mining sector, you cannot miss Expomina in September. You can now purchase the stands. Over 1,000 stands have already been sold. There are new areas and expansions. Don't stay out. The upcoming fair is set to be huge, currently holding the title of the biggest fair in Peru in the number of booths. So if you are a supplier, reserve your booth right away and don't miss out on this great event. Following this, we are heading into a short commercial pause and we will return shortly after that. Greetings and a warm welcome to our show, America Mining, featuring special guest José Gonzáles. How have you been doing? We are excited to have you here today.
I'm doing well, Jorge. It's always a pleasure to be here with you.
The topic of gold prices and the relentless rally. More than $5,000. What does this relentless rally mean?
Over $5,000, he passed 5,200. Jorge, against all odds, against expectation. Gold has increased nearly 20% at its peak, 17% at the current levels, more than 60% compared to the 45% it had risen. Silver has risen 60% in a month. Why is gold on the rise? Why is silver increasing? First, the uncertainty there was regarding the policies President Trump wanted to pursue concerning Greenland. The fact that he threatened to increase tariffs on Europe unless a deal to sell Greenland was reached depicts the harsh reality of the situation at hand. That sparked a lot of tension and the confrontation he has with the Federal Reserve. The bond prices in Japan are dropping while the interest rates are increasing, which generates a widespread impact on international fixed income markets. And there is a flight not to the dollar, but to the bonds of the Federal Reserve of the United States, of the US Treasury, but rather to the dollar. And the pressure on the dollar continues. We have already covered the expectations based on the prices that were supposed to be reached by the end of this year. And the new projections indicate that gold could close this year at $7,150. That is almost 40% more. Rates are expected to be higher than now. No evidence suggests otherwise. It is probable that the perspective will shift in the future. Demand remains steady as central banks continue to purchase gold, initiating the process of reducing reliance on the US dollar. And from an sell America, as it's said in the markets are selling the United States. Gold remains sheltered in its safe haven, a vital asset in the organization.
You brought up the silver, and it is currently priced at $17 per ounce. This week, it has been the headline story across numerous media platforms. Communication, given the increase it has experienced and the demand it currently holds, which, unlike gold that appears to be the safe haven and what you have discussed, perhaps transforming it into a basis of protection against the dollar. However, silver does have a demand that is generate for some infrastructure that effectively has this mindset. Tell us a little
Sure,
about
Cesar,
that.
it's over 100, but it's far from 400. Over 115.
117, that's
and
it.
117 in days. And as you point out, the dynamics of silver are exactly the same as those of gold. Silver is a semi-precious metal. It is not a precious metal like gold. The volatility of silver is increased by its widespread use in solar cells, contributing to its unpredictable price fluctuations. It is very linked to electrification. That's why the demand for silver, and that's why the performance we had last year and this year, not just as a safe haven metal, but also for its industrial uses. London Metal Exchange analysts emphasize that silver inventories are currently at historically low levels, indicating a concerning market situation. And there are supply-demand dynamics that will remain this year, generating peaks and corrections. Investors who purchase silver with the intention of later selling it, despite everything, the pressure on the leg will endure, much like precious gold. All three metals, platinum, molybdenum, and lead, can be influenced not just by silver, but also by other metals within their group. Yes, the chain of critical minerals persists. In Davos, the focus remains on reform. In Davos, geopolitical tensions revolved around the strategic importance of critical minerals. Good news for Peru. We are a mining and polymetallic country. Legal mining faces unfortunate news at present.
Sure. Thank you, José Gonzáles, for agreeing to cover these topics as the international editor of Rumbo Minero. Your contribution is greatly appreciated. Thanks to everyone for all your help. Apologies to José Gonzáles for my presence here. And remind you, www.rumbominero.com. You can access the totally free magazine with all these topics every 45 days, both domestic and international. A widely read magazine, one of the most read in the world regarding mining. And next, we invite you to stay with us through a short commercial pause, and then we shall return shortly. Okay, here we are in our studio with Congresswoman Diana Gonzales, ready to start our conversation. Let's talk a bit about the empty chair bill, questioned appointments at the Ministry of Energy and Mines, and the Talara Refinery. Important topics. Welcome, Congresswoman.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Well, over the last few weeks, the administration passed an urgent decree number 01025 to restructure Petroperu and facilitate the reorganization of its assets, involving private entities to maximize potential participation. During a harsh financial downturn, certain regions faced a crisis that almost pushed the company to the brink of insolvency. Things are changing. This administration is doing things differently to be able to bring forth a solution regarding Petroperu. What do you think of the solution the government is proposing?
At least that is something that I welcome. Certainly, the Avanza País party had proposed a privatization initiative for Petroperu a while back, indicating their interest in reforming the state-owned oil company. We are fully conscious of the significant expenditure this represents for the nation's development. Funds that could be allocated to various aspects in a far superior manner, in an efficient manner, rather than continuing to be a large elephant. As previously mentioned, the Avanza País party has already presented the bill. Furthermore, our government's plan involves suggesting the privatization of Petroperu. And here I would like to clarify that we are not talking about selling 100% of Petroperu in a potential government of Jose William Zapata on July 28, because that is not realistic. But the law allows it. It also allows reviewing the comparative execution, what has been happening in Colombia, even in the Petro government, and they continued moving forward, correct? So I think it is important to open the possibility for the market to participate as well.
Congressman, what is your assessment of the current political atmosphere considering the administration's vulnerability resulting from the controversies surrounding the president? José Gonzáles, there are voices saying he can no longer provide the necessary push, the sufficient support to implement the emergency decree.
Do you find these convenient voices appearing at this moment? During the month of November, while the topic of illegal mining was being debated, not one of them was heard, as many advocated for embracing illegal mining in the country's affairs. Everyone fell silent, and I wouldn't want to think it's because the budget law was also being debated at the same time. Now that we are warming up the campaign, that the campaign is starting, and that it is certainly part of it. 1. Now it is convenient to strike, and to strike in this manner. Never defending this, I faced Jerry when I had nearly 60 approval points during a very challenging period. The way he managed to secure his ratings was by staging this media spectacle of visiting penitentiaries at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I said it, and I repeat, it made me angry. To see the president doing that show while simultaneously not cutting the financial arm of all this criminality that is illegal mining made me furious. He had the courage to move confidently through prisons, yet lacked the courage to establish control within his caucus, unlike Dina Boluarte, who took decisive action. His confidence wavered when it mattered most. José Gonzáles did have a block, and he had 3 very brave votes that could have been brave, but of course they were not within the committee.
Now, regarding the next one, moving into the next administration, right? Well, what to do? You have been one of the staunchest defenders of the MAPI law, that the reinfo should not be prolonged. You have fought in the Energy and Mines Commission. We know this. You've shared this with us multiple times on the program. But there is a feeling from here that every time the Energy and Mines Commission is formed, it is treated as if it were the last wheel of the vehicle, despite being the most economically significant sector in the country, right? And sometimes we see presidents of the committees or members of the committees who are often, or they are extremely poor, they are tied to the illegal mining operations. Therefore, what actions can be taken to establish a commission that can truly advance the cause of the core concept here involves the miners who are seeking formal recognition. They formalize, I mean, nobody is saying we are going to support only the multinationals or the large mining companies. No, the medium and small ones too. But if we keep a reinfo with holes, then what can we do with this commission?
Yes, and we have always supported formal mining, be it small, medium, or large scale. Our stance remains in favor of formal mining. I firmly believe that this is an essential area, particularly for the conservative segment of society, to completely immerse oneself in this battle, right? I also think it's important regarding this electoral process to evaluate the government plans, evaluate the candidates, and what they say about illegal mining. Jose William Zapata is my presidential candidate, and he isn't talking about illegal mining now. He did during the last campaign and has done so his entire life. He has dealt with this issue and has put forward different proposals. And I think we have to recognize that the coherence and the consistency, because I have seen many colleagues debate many topics. But on illegal mining, they remained very quiet, very quiet. And I will not forget that, because this goes beyond political parties. This is a national issue. We cannot allow the country to fall into lawlessness, and currently mining is at the forefront leading the way. That topic. So yes, I believe that at least in this legislature, we know that Congressman Cutipa from Juntos por el Perú will remain. I have led. As I have said openly, I believe the one in charge there is Roberto Sanchez, also a presidential candidate today, who tries to manage to pull some votes away from the defeated Pedro Castillo. And it is precisely those individuals who are currently leading the commission. We cannot remain silent in the face of that false leadership, because what they really want is to maintain this comfortable situation for some miners who do not want to formalize, and this issue of the reinfo expansion has been eternal. And what they really want is to perpetuate the reinfo to continue traversing the entire national territory, and for nothing to happen to them. We do not support that action. General Williams truly wants a real formalization of mining in the country.
The matter is serious, Congressman. The Peruvian Institute of Economics has released a recent statistic showed $15,000 million in illegal gold exports. where simply by collecting only 2% for the electoral campaigns, that would amount to $240 million that are currently up in the air to finance this group of people. The Territorio Tomado portal has also indicated that there are 64 candidates for Congress from 29 parties that have current reinforcement, and just as many have been excluded. So the overall situation is extremely grave. We have been informed that you have submitted a legislative bill of a topic that should have been brought to the table a long time ago, which is the principle, meaning the empty chair. Specifically, if someone incurs in some sort of parliamentary misbehavior or switches political parties to arrange themselves in a different way, they should be excluded. Please explore your project further.
Yes, I am grateful to my political party, Avanza País, for giving me the opportunity to propose this bill concerning the policy of the vacant chair, which is currently in effect for cases involving terrorism, washing and illegal trafficking of narcotics. And illegal mining is a crime that has been left out and is connected to all of them, right? The whole topic concerning the necessary supplies, the extortionists, the trafficking of people, and numerous colleagues who raised the banner for human rights. I never heard them express concern for human trafficking, and many colleagues regarding the environment never voiced their opinions on it. To ensure the integrity of our legislative bodies, we have introduced a project aimed at enabling modifications to the regulations governing the Chamber of Deputies and the Chamber of Senators in the event of a congressman's conviction. A deputy or senator is convicted of illegal mining. Let that chair remain empty and the understudy not enter.
Okay.
Agreed. All right, we have come to finally appreciative of Congresswoman Diana Gonzales' involvement to share forever a bit about mining and what is happening in Peru. And well, we must continue the fight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. We will definitely keep up a strong and coherent struggle.
Next, we will go to the Mining and Society section featuring Iván Arenas.
The latest report from Cochilco has indicated that Peru would stop producing approximately 500,000 tons of copper by the year 2035. This news is significant and noteworthy because there is also another report from Wood Mackenzie that states that there will be a deficit of around 8 million in copper for that same year. The year 2035 is crucial. What's happening? Why is Cochilco projecting that Peru will cease production of 500,000 tons and yet there will be a shortage in the copper supply? While we are during the whole boom of artificial intelligence, renewable energy, and the electricity boom. Additionally, one important thing is the European military rearmament. There will likely be a boom in price escalation, especially for copper. Another study also indicates that the year 2035, approximately the ton of copper will cost $15,000. Today, we have a balance of over $10,000. However, Peru is facing setbacks in its copper mining projects due to issues with permits causing a standstill in operations. What is going on? This means the country requires to have a pact, a political pact for copper, a political agreement to develop copper projects so that they serve as a motor not only for economic growth, but also to expand the middle class and reduce poverty. This report from Cochilco raises concerns. If it takes place, Peru would again stop producing 500,000 tons. When Peru has over $50 billion invested in mining projects, particularly in copper, we will further engage in discussions on this topic next week. Thank you in advance for your cooperation.
Thank you to everyone who joined us today. We extend a special appreciation to Cesar Campos as we conclude our program. Don't forget to tune in next weekend on the same channel. We'll be back with more for you. Thanks a lot.